America with a 1,000% tariff with your leftard ideas. How much is that? 1,000%. You got to pay 10 times the usual rate of taxation. Sales tax for you is 40%. Well, I'd never. Yeah, exactly. So stay home. 844-527-8723. Call in line telephone number 844-5-CRUSADE. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, Rumble or X.com, please heart or like and subscribe to the channels and give the thumbs up on today's broadcast here on the Crusade Radio Network. This piece by Joseph Pearce is at the Imaginative Conservative today is really good. The world is full of ironies, in the world of politics especially. It was, for instance, ironic that those who rioted at President Trump's inauguration, blinded by pride, prejudice, and propaganda, had not apparently realized that they were rioting against the only president in God knows how many years who was actually agreeing with them on the evils of globalization and was planning to do something about it. The people who were smashing the windows of the local Starbucks and Mickey D's in D.C. as a protest against capitalism are the same people in creed, if not necessarily in person, as those who riot at G20 summits around the world demanding an end to the evils of globalization. Which, by the way, globalization, just take the psycho knife and just plunge it into it. Shigong! Good riddance. Yes, good riddance. Why, one wonders, asks X's Commodore Pearce, did they not riot at Obama's inauguration? A president who wholeheartedly supported and endorsed globalization, reserving their wrath instead for his anti-globalist successor. Good point. Their answer is, of course, the ignorance and arrogance of an urbanized Ute culture, which has brought into all the cultural and ideological byproducts of globalism, such as hedonism and its Frankenstein child, the Pride movement, claiming to oppose globalism for its injustice to the poor. These misguided Utes nonetheless practice the godless humanism and lifestyle choices that globalism nurtures, including consumerism in the marketplace and pride in the pride, and then so good to see you, and pride in the public square. It is indeed ironic that the laissez-faire economics that the rioters oppose is responsible for the laissez-faire morals that they espouse. They are children of the very monster they claim to oppose. They are good global citizens of the globalized world order, even if they think they are rebels. Yeah, I happen to know one or two of them, and they do think that they're rebels. I'm like crusading for a cause and stuff. What cause is that? Well, your hands off. Hands off what? Your hands off our charity. Who's doing charity? Who told somebody to stop being charitable? USAID, Planned Parenthood, National Communist Radio, no charity. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Let's leave the misbehaving children in the corporate nursery in which they were raised and return to the real world and its all too real problems. Something else that has to be done here, folks, here on the Mike Church Show, I've talked about this, and I think that this actually has to come to fruition. You have to kick all of these people off of all government resources. All of them. You got to bring it to an end. It is the one magic bullet, the one silver bullet that kills what it is that they're clinging to. If they took student loans out, make them pay them back. If they're on Obamacare and they're able to work and care for themselves, or Medicaid, kick them off. If they're on AFDC of any sort whatsoever, and you can lift your finger and you can stand up and you can go hang out in the unemployment line and play air guitar, you're fired. You're off the roll. No subsidy, no bailout, no care. You have to care for yourself. This is, now look, if you do this, well, first of all, it saves money. Second of all, that's a paradigm change. That all that does is restore things to where they were before the alleged war on poverty, which has been abused for trillions upon trillions and trillions. Heaven knows how many lives have been ruined by the war on poverty. Now here, play the, and then Pearce quotes Trump at the inaugural. For many decades, we've enriched foreign industry at the expense of American industry, subsidized the armies of other countries while allowing for the very sad depletion of our own military. We've defended other nations' borders while refusing to defend our own, and spent trillions of dollars overseas while America's infrastructure has fallen into disrepair and decay. We've made other countries rich while the wealth, strength, and confidence of our country has disappeared over the horizon. One by one, the factories shuttered and left our shores, with not even a thought about the millions upon millions of American workers left behind. The wealth of our middle class has been ripped. They've been ripping us off. It's been ripped from their homes and then redistributed across the entire world, the whole world. It's not going to happen, not in our America anymore. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. And he's just quoting Trump and saying, like, who disagrees with this? I keep asking Magdalene, our political affairs contributor, who disagrees with this? Who is out there that said, I don't want anything to do with that? Every day, from this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American families. We must protect our borders from the ravages of other countries, making our products, stealing our companies, and destroying our jobs. Protection will lead to great prosperity and strength. These words are music to the ears of those of us who have long opposed the imposition of globalist imperialism, even those of us who have had difficulty endorsing candidate Trump for other reasons. At last, a major politician has had the courage and audacity to look the globalist tyrant in the eye. I want to... By the way, there's if you're in the Crusader Stadium chat room, you saw this. If you're not, then you need to go, crusadechannel.com/chat. Dr. Torres put a really cool graphic image in there that shows 50 years of global steel production visualized. And if you look at Torres' chart, it looks like it starts somewhere around 1965. And here's the stat. In 1965, the United States made 115.4 metric tons of steel. How much was that again? 115.4 metric tons of steel. Fast forward 60 years now, or 55 years, because it goes to 2020. And in the United States, the population has more than doubled since then. I think it's tripled. Has more than doubled. The amount of businesses that are open, the amount of people, the amount of cars, things that you would need steel for, have all increased dramatically in number. So, 115.4 metric tons of steel the United States made in 1965. And in 2020, the last year on this chart, the United States responsible for 72.7 metric tons of steel. That is, what, a 70% decline? I'm not a mathematician. I'm only playing one on the radio. Somebody cipher that out. Uncle letter. whatever the percentage is. Meanwhile, in 1965, China made 14 metric tons. 14 metric tons of steel. In 2020, China made 1,053 metric tons of steel. I don't know what percent increase that is. That's a lot. I want you to play the, because I want to talk about this. Digital media file number 10. I think this is the, all right, everybody stop what you're doing. This is probably the most well thought out thing that I've ever heard Elon say, and I've heard a lot of things that I've repeated and played here throughout the years from Elon Musk here on the Mike Church Show. This is a really good one here. You've heard this argument before from your kind, humble host, but it'll benefit you to hear it again from Elon Musk.
Yes. The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, a numbers situation. If there are 8 billion people in the world, and let's say you're a country of, 50 million, 60 million, or, for a medium-sized country, but even for a country like the United States, which is 350 million, given that there are 8 billion people in the world, it only takes a few percent of the rest of the world to move to the country to where it is no longer that country. A country is not its geography. A country is its people. This is a fundamental concept that is truly obvious. I mean, if you took the people of Italy and you teleported the people of Italy to, say, some part of the United States, it would still be Italy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you teleported a bunch of people from some other part of the world to Italy, where they're telling people no longer because they've been teleported to America, then the region, the geographic region, would no longer be Italy. It would be that other country. A country is its people, not its geography.
And then he laughs. But this is true. And I wish Utes would hear this. That is just simply brilliant, though, the way that you put that, though. If you picked up all of the Chihuahua, I'll just throw one out there, the Chihuahua state, Mexico is made up of states. You may not know that, but it is made up of a bunch of states. Chihuahua is one of them. If you took the Mexican state of Chihuahua and you just teleported every Mexican that was there into the United States somewhere, all together, where they had similar resources, those people would not be Americans. They'd be Chihuahuans. Not to be confused with dogs. They'd be Chihuahuans just transported to a new piece of geography. Most people think geography. They don't think culture. They think geography. But it's like I have said 100,000 ways to Sunday here on the Mike Church Show. State of Louisiana is the best example that I can give because it is the best example. The state of Louisiana was established by French and Spanish Catholics. As a matter of fact, folks, I have finally finished part number 1, the video film part of my series on the incredible, amazing secret history of Catholic New Orleans. I'm going to roll it tomorrow night. I'll introduce it live, then I'm going to roll it, and you can watch it. and I'll take your questions if you have any, or we'll just have a little discussion online on YouTube and in the chat room, and we'll roll it out on other video media as well. It's really good. So I know this like the back of my hand now. The story of LaSalle. So René Robert Cavalier Sieur de LaSalle comes to the United States, or he comes to the New World. He leaves France. He drops out of the seminary, gets a dispensation to stop being a Jesuit seminarian. He remains a cleric, though, for the rest of his life. And he gets on a boat, and he goes to what is called today Montreal. You know, it's funny how most people because they just conjugate, because we as Americans, and we're lazy, we just say Montreal. The French back in the day would not have said Montreal. They just said Montreal or Montreal. 2 words, Montreal. They just conjugated it together. In any event, LaSalle goes there, and he meets up with Marquette and other great explorers who all established so many places in the Mississippi River Valley. Of course, Marquette discovers so much stuff. Marquette actually discovers the Mississippi River, which was named the River of the Assumption in honor of Mary. Most people don't know that. So LaSalle knows what to be, so he goes with Marquette on another voyage. He sees the Mississippi, and he goes like, well, what's at the other end of this? And Marquette says nobody knows. We don't know how far it goes. So LaSalle gets the idea, well, I'm going to put a voyage together, and we're going to go see. So in 1681, LaSalle goes all the way down the Mississippi River until he reaches the mouth of the river at the Gulf of Mexico. And realizing that, because they sail out into the Gulf for miles, and they go like, dude, they think it's the Atlantic. So, of course, he will discover that it's not the Atlantic. In any event, LaSalle establishes, he founds Louisiana right there on April, I think it was April the 8th, 1681. He goes back to France, tells King Louis, le roi, that he has discovered on his trip. And Louis sends him on a secret mission, says, go back. Go to back to the mouth of the river, form a camp there, and set up a French naval base, and then we'll start building inland. Well, LaSalle overshoots. Long story short. So it takes another 20 years, or almost 30 years, for another guy, the Baron de Bienville. Most Houdats call him Bienville. It's Bienville. Ville, as in Ville Platte, if you're a Louisiana, if you're a Cajun, comes in 1721 or 1722 and finds the Crescent City, which is, at that time, why did Bienville pick Louisiana, the Crescent City? He picked the Crescent City. He picked the ground where New Orleans was because it wasn't flat and it didn't flood. It was actually elevated. Not tall hills, but it was kind of hilly. So the French then, they're having wars with the English, and they're weak, and they're afraid the English are going to come take it. So the French give it to the Spanish, say you can hold on to this for us, and the French take it back. My point is that the French and the Spanish settled what we call Louisiana today. There is a massively larger influence of French here. In Louisiana, you have not only the official language. If you moved here at the turn of the 19th century, you spoke French. The English weren't even allowed in here because they were Anglicans and Puritans and Protestants. And the French and the Spanish said, no, you can't live here. So I'm giving you how the Louisiana established the port of New Orleans, and then all the way up the river, things began to grow. And it is a cultural treasure. We are not defined, but we're not defined by our geography. We are defined by the heritage of the French and Spanish that settled here. Now, of course, the Irish came here and the Italians, and there's a lot of legacy there. But the state of Louisiana is defined by its people. Your state, wherever you live, are defined by your people. I've done whole lectures on this. You can invite me to come to your club. I'll do another one. I'm happy to do it. Love doing it. The government of any state, the sovereignty of any state, is reserved and held by the people. We don't act like it anymore. The founding generation acted like it and believed it. And the generations that came after the founders, all the way up until the War of Northern Aggression, acting like it and believed it. We should go back to believing that. Elon's right. Your state is not your geography. It's just as simple that it's just where the borders are. What your state is your culture and what the people have in common, that they celebrate the traditions and customs and what have you. This is why it makes no sense to me, and it is the most stupid, ridiculous, short-sighted thing that I can think of, and it has to come to an end, and it will come to an end. The state of Pennsylvania should be at least 3 states. At least, that's right. Miniature, please, you can't think. Yes, I can. The state of Pennsylvania should be at least 3 states. You want to live in Philadelphia, in the big city, in that far eastern part, up there towards New Jersey and down towards Maryland, that could be a republic on its own. The middle of Pennsylvania is farmers. It's agriculture and steel. And so is most of the Western. But, you get into the Western, and I think it probably changes from Protestant, Catholic, Irish, Italians, and maybe some Germans in there, to Dutch, and then to Germans as you get further west. Don't quote me on that. I love Pennsylvania. It's a great state. It's pretty. It's picturesque. It has so many different resources. But it could be at least 3 cultural centers. You could make an argument. Yeah, Marketech says Philly and Erie have nothing in common with each other. Do you see, Marketech? That's my problem. Why force them to be in political cahoots then? Why? So they don't get invaded. Who's going to invade them? New York? Who's going to invade them? Same thing with in like the great state of Illinois. No one in South Chicago and South Illinois has anything in common with the inner city that is Chicago. The further away you get from Chicago, the more rural and the more agrarian it gets. And this is like the same way it is in most states. Go to the state of, pick your state here. Florida might be the one kind of exception. Although, though, if you go to Miami-Dade, if you go to Dade County, South Broward County in Florida, I know because I lived there for a couple of years. Dade County is Spanish culture. It's Cuban culture. You get the best Cuban food in the world. You got great Cuban music. You got the cigar makers. I mean, they seriously have a culture in Miami. But you get out of Miami and you get north of Miami, and this is not a hard and fast rule. You get north of Miami and you get into a lot of snowbird and retirees. There's a lot of Jewish people in Broward County. It could stand on its own. And the same is true as you work your way up the coast. Elon is right about this. Let's talk about it, folks.